Alright, so as promised, I'm about to do a video on how to force feed a snake a live prey. If your snake refuses to eat, or if it's still sick, or if it's recovering from an illness. In this case, Bear is recovering from whatever weird potassium illness he has. So I'm switching him over from the liquid diet to a whole diet, and or I might alternate just because he needs something a little more solid in his food, right? And as well as like this, as much as carnivore care is awesome, it's not his natural diet. So I want to get some rat into his system. So when you force feed a snake, ideally you want to be feeding it a prey much smaller than it would normally take. Even though snakes can unhinge their jaws to take much larger prey, you don't want to force the snake to try and unhinge its jaw because you might damage something in some sort of way. So you just want to get something small enough that it can just fit down their throat without it needing to unhinge its jaw. In this case, Bear, he typically takes either colossal or mammoth rats, so very, very large rats, right? But in this case, I'm going to be just feeding him just a little weaned pup. Just something that I can inject with a little bit of the potassium, not just a straight prey, but a little bit of potassium. So in here I have my solution, just a little bit. You don't want to be pumping the rat too much of any liquids because it will explode on you. I had that happen about a week ago. It was very unfortunate, in which case I just kept shoving it down his throat. Guts and everything was gross. A large needle. I'm just using a spare 28 gauge that I have. You can use the 22 or whatever. Can you not bump me like that, sir? Thank you. So fill up your needle. Make sure you get out any air bubbles because you don't want to be pumping the rat full of air because then it's just wasted space that's more likely to explode on you. Bubble, get out. Okay. So as you can see, it's really not that much. It's not even like 2 mils worth of stuff. Take your rat, which by the way I've soaked just in water just to get it wet, just because it will help the rat go down a little easier down the throat. And you just want to inject it right into the belly or wherever is going to have the most empty cavity space. So it didn't plump up my rat too much, which is what I want because I don't want this thing exploding on me. I highly recommend, if you have a glove, get a glove. Not because the snake's going to bite you, but just because you are going to need to wiggle your fingers in and down his throat. in and down his throat. So it will be a little uncomfortable for you if you don't have gloves. I have wet the leather glove because again the leather can be a little rigid and you just want a little extra lubrication anywhere that you can. So it's just water. I'm just getting a little more wet because the leather absorbed the water. Okay. So, come here, handsome. He's gonna be a little feisty. So start off with your, what are they called? Forceps? Whatever they're called, or whatever device that you use to open the snake's mouth. I just use a pen. He's already, you can see his mouth is already slightly open, so in which case I just gently wedge that in there. Open, come on. Oh, someone's feisty today. That's good. Sir. Oh. And you guys can't see, but as I was about to pry open his mouth, I do see that he has knocked a tooth loose. So I'm just going to get that out for him so that it doesn't cause any mouth rot or any complications further down the road. Snakes do lose teeth on occasion. Sometimes they just get bumped and whatnot. And it's just sitting right there. We don't even have to yank it or anything, but it's just sitting right there. Yeah. That's big. That's big. You don't want to get bit by that. Yeah, see? Okay. Anyways. Oh my goodness. He's still a little wiggly. He's still a little hurting. Alright. Open up. So he's starting to get a little bit of color back in his mouth, which is a good sign, which means he's getting a little bit better. Okay. You have your snake mouth open. You got your glove on. You got your meal, which I'm gonna wet a little bit more. Seems to have dried off some. And again, that windpipe, you want to avoid that windpipe, so I'm gonna go from the top of the pen. Let's start with the head and just gently pop that in there. Knock that pen loose. Now, you'll notice that my hand is at the back of his jaws. From here, you want to gently go beside the jaws because you don't want to be constricting his throat while trying to shove something down his throat. So now my hands are kind of just gently around his jaws, not so much, and then you just want to slowly try and work that rat in there. He's real feisty today, which is a good sign for me. Unfortunately, you can't really see much down here. Can you? Not, sir. It may take a couple tries because they will sometimes like wiggle it back out. But even if they're fighting you, you want to alternate kind of between your index finger and your thumb to just slowly shove it down the throat. Again, not constricting the actual throat, but just kind of holding the base of his head there. So, you can see I've actually gotten most of it down. Just kind of its butt is sticking out a bit. So he's kind of taking it a little bit easier than last time. So most of the butt's there. Again, this is why you want the glove, because you're literally going to be shoving your finger down his throat gently. And I see that he's knocked another tooth loose on the front there. That actually might have been because of me. Oops. Sorry. No biggie. They regrow their teeth quite rapidly, just like sharks. So once you've got it most of the way down, you can try and obviously stop forcing it down because that just causes stress on them. But kind of just wash them, hold their mouth closed, make sure that they take it, make sure that they're not trying to spit it back up. And this is kind of the waiting process. Like, see how most of it's kind of right at the base of his throat there? So at this point, he can either choose to try and spit that thing back out, or he decides he wants to eat it. So this is the waiting game where you need to just kind of just watch them. You can, if he starts to kind of want to spit it back out, use the glove again, shove your finger, shove it down a little bit further, just to kind of encourage them to take it. You can tell when they want to spit it back out because they'll start opening their mouths. They'll be like, ah, like they look like they're trying to throw it back up. In this case, he's just kind of letting it sit there. He's not really sure. He's like, I hate you. You can kind of help by massaging the throat a little bit, or just kind of touching the throat in general, just to kind of encourage them to try and swallow it. Holding their heads up a little bit more will help as well. Or it just makes them really twitchy. It's okay, buddy. Tasty nom-noms. And should they decide they want to eat it, they'll just start going down on their own. So he wants to kind of start moving forward a little bit. So I'm going to let him move forward. But by rubbing his throat and under chin there, hopefully that will help encourage him to let it go down on his own naturally. Get in the frame, buddy. See, he's pushing up and away, and I'm just gonna encourage him by pushing or massaging the under part of his throat there. me try and put this down a little bit lower so you guys can see kind of what I'm doing here. Oh, not too low. JK! Oh, goodness. There you go. See, now you can see. Oh, maybe. I don't want to hold his throat so I can show you guys that it has moved down a little bit. So he is deciding he kind of wants to take this on his own. So again, he's still kind of moving, and I'm not forcing it down his throat anymore. I'm just putting a little pressure as he moves against my hand as he moves forward. So he wants to kind of just naturally get away, and I'm letting him kind of do that, but by going over my hand, over that ledge, and it's worked its way down even more. Buddy. Might take a little more time because again, if their muscles are weak, or if they're not quite wanted, they'll literally just let it sit in their throat, which is kind of where he's at now. It's stopped a little bit. Now, at this point, he hasn't really shown any signs of him rejecting it. As he starts to open his mouth now. Spoke too soon. No, he's good. No. No. See, this is what will happen if they start to reject it. They'll open their mouths up. So now I got to, oh goodness, keep his mouth closed first of all. And push that thing back down. You were doing so well. Push that thing back down. See, again, I'm not holding his throat, more so just the top of his head. If you can avoid constricting his jaws as well, that'll also help, which is why I'm holding him via the top of the head and just literally shoving my finger, unfortunately, sorry buddy, down your throat. Gently. At this point, everything's kind of full of slobber, so it's all going down super nice right now. So I've got my finger essentially as far down his throat as I can, so there's really no more pushing at all that I can do. It's mostly down his throat. And at this point, he'll probably just take it on his own. It's pretty far down. It's about right here now. Yep. Come on. Keep pushing it down, buddy. Okay, well, you get the point. Keep massaging. Just let it go down. At this point, it will definitely go down on its own. It'll probably just take him another, like, 5 more minutes, but I'm going to cut the video here. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I will try and help the best I can. Goodbye.